Star Citizen's industrial gameplay has a massive opportunity. Mining is already one of the better career loops in the game. Salvaging has a strong foundation. Refinery, well, it exists, but it's mostly just passive. Crafting is coming along, and if CIG gets it right, it could become one of the most important systems in the entire game. But if they get it wrong, it could just become another menu. That is the danger, because crafting cannot just be put materials in a box, press button, receive item. Mining cannot just be find the best rock, ignore everything else, use the same laser forever. Salvaging cannot just be scrape haul, print boxes, repeat. And refinery cannot just be pick a method, wait a timer, and come back later. If Star Citizen wants a real industrial economy, all these systems need to connect. Mining, salvaging, refining, crafting, item degradation, player skill, who, where, specialization, all of it needs to become one loop, a real loop. A loop where every profession matters. A loop where player choices matter. A loop where quality matters, but not in the boring way. And this is where I think CIG needs to rethink the idea of quality. So right now when people hear quality, they usually think higher quality materials should automatically make better items. But I don't think that is the best way to do it. I think quality should affect yield. That means if I mine better ore, I get more usable material out of it. If I mine lower quality ore, I still get something, but the yield is just worse. And that one change fixes a major problem, because it gives players a reason to grab everything. Right now, the danger with mining is that players naturally choose only the best rocks. If the rock is not worth the time, you leave it. If the percentage is bad, you move on. If the value is not high enough, you ignore it. That makes sense as a player, but it creates a boring industrial economy. A real mining system should make almost everything useful, not just equally efficient. High quality ore should just refine better. Low quality ore should still matter, especially if you are feeding a crafter, supplying an org, or trying to produce bulk materials. That turns mining from a cherry-picking loop into a real extraction loop. You are not just hunting perfect rocks, you are gathering resources, and then refining becomes the next layer. The better the ore quality, the better the possible yield. But the refinery should matter too. Right now, refining just feels too passive. You send the ore in, pick a method, wait, and collect later. That is fine as a basic system, but long-term refining should become a profession. The person refining should have control. Give the refiner sliders. Speed versus yield, efficiency versus waste, power versus stability, risk versus output. If you want the job done fast, you can push the process harder, but you lose more material. If you want maximum yield, you slow it down and refine more carefully. If the material is unstable, maybe you need better equipment, better refinery skill, or a safer process. Then player progression comes in. The more someone refines a certain material, the better they get at it. They get faster, they waste less, they unlock better refining profiles. They learn how to handle difficult materials. Now you have real specialists, not just a guy who clicked refine. You have someone in your org who is known as the person to send unstable container to. Someone else specializes in bulk industrial metals. Someone else is faster but weighs more. Someone else is slow but gives you the best yield. That is how refining becomes a gameplay. Not necessarily Twitch gameplay, but decision-based profession gameplay. And this is where mining itself needs more depth. The mining laser system needs to stop being about finding the one best laser. Because once a meta forms, everyone uses the same setup. Get the helix. Maybe use a Hofstadter. Everything else becomes flavor. That is not good enough for a game like Star Citizen. Mining lasers should have real identity. Some should be better against high resistance. Some should be better against high instability. Some should be faster. Some should be safer. Some should be better for small rocks, others for large deposits, and some should just be weak, efficiently weak. Some should be powerful but destructive. Some should be good for precision extractions. Some should be the industrial sledgehammers. The ore should determine the tool, not the meta. If I'm going after one kind of ore, I should build my loadout around that ore. If the rock is unstable, I need equipment that helps control volatility. If the rock is resistant, I need a laser that can punch through it. If the deposit is valuable but dangerous, maybe I need modules that stabilizes the charge window. If the material is common and safe, maybe I run cheap, efficient gear to reduce wear and cost. That is the key. Mining should be preparation. Before you even leave the station, you should be asking, what are we mining today? Not just, what is the best laser? And modules should be a huge part of that. But I do not think mining modules should only be limited use consumables. I think modules should be actual equipment that you turn on and off. They should have function, they should have wear, they should degrade. And using them should also put stress on your mining laser. So if I activate a module that boosts power, that should help me crack harder rock, but it should increase laser degradation. If I activate a stability module, maybe it makes the rock safer, but it drains more power or slows the process. If I activate a resistant braking module, maybe it increases penetration, but creates more heat and wear. Now modules become decisions, not just buttons. And this ties perfectly into item degradation. Star Citizen needs item degradation. Not just for weapons and armor, but for everything. Mining lasers should degrade. Salvage heads should degrade. Crafted components should degrade as well. Cheap components, modules, tools. Because without degradation, the economy dies. If everyone buys the best item once and keeps it forever, crafters eventually become useless. Miners become less important. Salvagers become less important. Repair gameplay becomes less important. The economy needs sinks. Not fake sinks, but real ones. Wear and tear is a natural solution. If you use your mining laser hard, it just wears down. If you overclock it, it wears out even faster. If you push modules too aggressively, they degrade faster. If you operate in harsh environments, components should also take more damage. If you use cheap crafted tools, they might perform well at first, but break down faster. Now, every industrial decision has consequences. I think this is where the mining laser MFD idea becomes important. Mining ships should have a dedicated mining system if MFD. Not just a basic laser interface, a real industrial control panel. Give us power sliders. Let us increase or decrease power to the mining laser. Let us control output. Let us push harder when needed. Let us run more efficiently when we want to preserve the equipment. Kind of like adding pips to thrusters or weapons. If I increase mining laser power, I can crack harder rocks faster, but I generate more heat, I create more stability, I create more wear on the laser, and then I stress the attached modules. Maybe I even increase the chance of component damage if I push too hard for too long, kind of like a power plant. That creates a real gameplay choice. Do I run safe and slow, or do I push hard because pirates are nearby? Do I preserve my expensive laser, or do I burn it out because this rock is worth the risk? That is how mining becomes more tactical. And laser size should matter too. Right now, the difference between mining equipment often does not feel deep enough. I think all lasers should have module slots based on the size. Size 1, size 2, and then size 3, size 2, 3, and so on and so on. And the bigger you go, the more complex the loadout becomes. That lets small miners still customize but give large industrial ships deeper specialization. A structure should be flexible but limited. The mold should have team-based specialization. One turret can run stability support, one turret could have high power cracking, and one turret could run precision control. Now multi-crew mining becomes more than 3 people pointing lasers at a rock. It becomes a coordinated operation. One player manages instability, while another one manages resistance, and the other one just pushes to fracture the rock. The pilot positions the ship, someone watches scanners, and someone handles the defense. That is the dream after all. And the same design philosophy should apply to salvage. Salvaging needs the mining treatment. Right now, salvaging is a good start, but it needs just more. We need salvage heads like mining lasers, different salvage heads for different jobs. One head is better for hull scraping, and another one's better for structural material. One is better for component recovery, while one is better for speed, efficiency, or even better for damaged military armor. And then you could just swap in the difference between civilian hulls or just something that's cheap and reliable. And of course, we can't talk about the expensive high yield and how that wears out fast. Then add salvage modules. Modules can increase scrape rate, material purity, reduce waste, and even they might even identify valuable recoverables. Modules that stabilize damaged wrecks, modules that reduce tool wear, modules that allow dangerous high output salvage but risk overheating or damaging the salvage head. Now that becomes a profession and a loadout. Bring a vulture or reclaimer and scrape. Instead, salvager asks, what kind of wreck are we going after? Are we going for a fighter, a cargo, military ship, an alien ship, a derelict in atmosphere? How about a wreck in 0G, a battlefield full of damaged hulls? Different jobs should reward different setups, and salvaging should beat crafting directly. That is the missing link. Mining should provide raw material, salvaging should provide recovered material components, alloys, electronics, rare parts, damaged weapons, damaged ship components, and maybe even unique salvage-only crafting resources. That gives salvagers a unique economic role, not just another way to make money. A way to supply crafters with things miners cannot provide. Because if everything comes from mining, salvaging becomes secondary. But if certain components, alloys, military parts, alien materials, old tech, or rare crafting inputs can only come from salvage, then salvaging becomes essential. And now, let's get to crafting. Crafting is where CIG has to be very careful. Because if material quality determines final item quality too much, then crafters become less important. The miner becomes a real crafter. The person with the best ore makes the best item. I don't like that. The crafter should determine how good the item is. Materials should matter, but the crafter should matter more. The miner provides resources. The refiner improves the yield. The salvager provides rare parts, but the crafter creates the item. That means crafting skills should be tied to repetition, specialization, and mastery. Let's say you want to craft a kill shot. At first, you can make a basic kill shot, nothing special. Then after you make a certain number of them, you unlock better control over the blueprint. You learn the weapon. You understand its tolerances, its weaknesses. You understand what materials work best and how to tune it. So now you could add a small bonus. Maybe better durability, lower recoil, slightly better heat control, faster handling, more capacity, more damage. But you do not get everything at once. You specialize. Then you keep crafting. You make more kill shots. You use better refined materials. You experiment with salvage parts. You improve the process. Eventually, you unlock the ability to add more bonuses. Then higher quality variants. Then custom versions. Then maybe rare masterwork versions. At the highest level, you become known as a master killshot rifle maker. Not just a person who craft rifle. That is important. Because this creates player identity. One player becomes known for rifles, armor, chip components, mining modules, military-grade coolers, shield generators, or just cheap, rugged frontier equipment. That is a player economy. Not everyone's crafting everything equally. Specialization, reputation, mastery, and then material burn rate becomes part of the equation. Better crafting should not just mean free bonuses. It should cost more. If you want to make a higher tier kill shot, maybe it consumes more refined material. Maybe it requires specific alloy. Maybe it needs salvaged military grade parts. Maybe it creates more waste. Maybe failed attempts consume resources. Maybe pushing for a rare bonus increases material burn rate. Now the loop continues. Crafters need miners, refiners, salvagers, supply chains. And becomes items degrade, customers keep coming back. That's how you get a real economy. Not a static one, a living one. This also opens up the doors for tiers. You start with basic crafting, then improved crafting, then specialized variants, higher tier blueprints, then masterwork versions, and maybe legendary player-made items tied to rare materials, rare salvage, and high crafting mastery. But the key is that the crafter should be the one who determines the final quality. The ore should not magically make the rifle elite. The ore should affect how much usable material you get and maybe what kind of crafting options are possible. But the final performance should come from the crafter's experience, blueprint mastery, equipment, and choices. That creates a real industrial chain. Miner extracts, refiner processes, salvager recovers, crafter builds. User wears it down. Repair tech maintains it. Demand continues. That is the loop. And item degradation is what keeps the loop alive. Without degradation, crafting eventually becomes a one-time market. Everyone gets the best gear, everyone keeps it forever, the economy dies. But with degradation, everything has a life cycle. A mining laser gets used, it wears down, it needs repair, eventually fails, a module gets pushed too hard, loses efficiency, a crafter rifle survives several battles, 8 conditions drops, a ship component gets damaged from overuse, a salvager recovers partial parts, a crafter uses those parts to build replacements, a refiner processes fresh material, a miner goes back out to the supply chain. That is how Star Citizen becomes a real universe, not because everything is complicated for the sake of being complicated, but because professions depend on each other. That is the heart of this. Mining should not exist in isolation, and neither should salvaging, refinery, and crafting. They should form the industrial backbone of the game. And if CIG gets the right industrial players, will not just be the background moneymakers. They will become essential. In order going to war, we'll need the crafters, and those crafters will need refined materials, miners, and those miners will need cheap lasers, modules, protection. Those ships and tools will degrade, and the salvaging team will recover materials from battlefields. And the loop continues on and on. Not just a system where everyone just buys the best gear from an NPC shop, or where mining is only valuable if you find the perfect rock. The system of crafting is not just a menu, and we're salvaging just not another credit printer. An industrial gameplay that actually matters. I want my miners, my salvagers, my refiners, my crafters, all to have our own loadouts, specializations, reputations, and across the verse. I want to say, if you need armor, go to this player. If you need a killshot rifle, this org makes the best ones. If you need mining modules, talk to that industrial crew. If you need cheap frontier gear that survives pyro, this crafter specializes in rugged builds. That's what makes a player economy exciting. Not just prices or reputation, dependence, and the best part is that it makes every industrial profession more fun. Mining becomes more than rock value. It becomes preparation, loadout choices, laser management, module timing, equipment wear. Refining becomes more than a timer. Crafting becomes more than just a recipe. And it also gives CIG more balancing tools, because if one material becomes too common, adjust refining yield. If one craft that item becomes too dominant, adjust material burn rate. If one mining laser becomes the meta, make it bad against certain other ore types. That is the key. Depth does not have to mean confusion. It means meaningful choices. But only if CIG avoids the simple version. Simple version is better ore equals better items, crafting is a recipe list, mining lasers have one meta choice, salvage heads are mostly cosmetic, refining is a timer, and items last forever. That version will not work long term. The better version is quality affects yield, refiners improve output, crafters determine item quality. The items degrade and demand increases. That is a system that can carry Star Citizen for years. Because if players can build the economy, they will build stories around it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. And if you have any more ideas, and I'll see you guys in the verse. Peace out.